Hey, Michael, I have a question, a hypothetical question, maybe a
Hmm.
real question. Um, what if I want a little more one-on-one time with Michael about helping me with my approach to customers?
Okay, right. So, okay, that's well, I'll sort of get into that. So if you do, yeah, if you do want some one-on-one time, then that's we can talk about that offline.
Hmm.
I do offer one of the things that I do offer is kind of this really sort of one-on-one intense coaching with people that are really in the space of trying to move forward and trying to get these contracts. So it's not for those of you on the line that maybe are coaches. Um, it is not pure coaching. It's a mix of coaching and consulting. So it's coaching around where you stuck, where you need to get unblocked, and then it's consulting around. So here's kind of the expertise that I bring in terms of kind of selling, working with clients, working through the contracts, working through the internal processes, and helping you through that stuff as well. And that, we can set that up on sort of what works. I've got packages where it's, 6-month engagements where let's say we're meeting or we're talking twice a month. There's other ones that can be longer, and sometimes they're very short and intense. Where there's some clients where they want to meet once a week for the next 3 months because that they're trying to get, let's say, to that first contract. So I've got a sort of myriad of different services, and that's why I put my contact information up here. So anyone that's interested, reach out to me, and we can talk about the different things and what works best for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just waiting to see if someone's got some more questions. Okay.
See a
Yes,
couple
so
type.
Denise, yes, I'm still here. Okay, I don't know if Denise, were you trying to ask a question or, but I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I'll ask another question. This is Deborah again.
Okay.
Are there any other resources, either online or printed, or any kind of anything you'd recommend to people in their kind of early stages of entrepreneurial work that they could go to for further tips? I mean, do you have anything that you can offer in addition to the webinar?
Do you mean in terms of how to, like, the infrastructure and like around contracts and things like that, like what those
Sure,
look
yeah,
like?
sure.
Okay. So there's two things. There's one is, yes, I'm pretty open uh, with kind of my stuff, like what I use for contract structures and whatnot. And it's pretty simple, in fact, and I can share those easily with people. I just kind of take out all the pertinent information, but at least you get an idea of the structure of what it looks like, what a contract looks like, what are the specifics that you put in. Also keep in mind is that when you're selling to organizations, then oftentimes their procurement department or their purchasing department, like the process is you'll talk with the decision makers, talk to the people that want to buy your services or products, but at some point you get moved over to procurement, and then you've got all of their processes that you have to work through. And they sometimes will have their own format that says when you send in a proposal, it has to be exactly like this. And then all the, I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So there's that. But any of my stuff that I use, it's no problem. I can, let you have that and see that. The other thing, which is when I first got started, I really got into this one guy who's he's the author of The $1 Million Consultant. His name's Alan Weiss, guy out of New York, very sort of, shoots from the hip kind of guy. And his stuff I found was very cool. He's got a great book on, I think it's getting started in consulting like in 30 days, and a very sort of simple, straightforward thing on, very simple, straightforward thing on what you need to do. What are some basic things that you need? Like I found that was a kind of a great resource. I've recommended that to a lot of people. I find it's good. So, hold on, I'm gonna try and.
Thank you. I think Michelle had questions in the chat box also.
Okay, let me just see here. So, Michelle, I also like to know what your favorite books or authors for entrepreneurs. Hold on a second. First question. Okay, what I'm going to do actually is there's really some background noise, and I don't know how to just mute a bunch of people, so I'm going to put it back to listen. Okay, so I just kind of muted everyone. Sorry about that. But I figure it might be easier if I'm just following the questions here. So the first one was by Michelle. Michael, I have a quick question. Is there a resource you can direct us towards regarding billing? Do you add stipulations in your contract if the scope unexpectedly increases? Yes. So, so first of all, in terms of regarding billing, if it's about making invoices, I started out. I went and bought, I think, an accounting software called Simply Accounting, and tried to get set up there and realized that was just too complicated for me. So I just use a template for my billing, like when I do invoices. I use a template that I just built in Excel, put in the pertinent information that the client needs on there with the hours and what I'm billing them in terms of the time and everything. And then I save it in PDF and I send that off as my bill. And then I have just a simple tracking that I do in Excel. But what I also do, though, is that I outsource all my bookkeeping and my accounting to someone. So once a month, I just kind of collect all my stuff, send it to her, and she does all the entries into all of the accounting softwares and stuff. I don't know if that sort of helps. The other thing is there stipulation for the scope? Yes, definitely put in there that if there are scope changes, that you have the right to change the contract. Keep in mind the client also has the right to refuse it. And then also I would love to know your favorite books or authors for entrepreneurs. So again, the one that I've always sort of followed was Alan Weiss, $1 Million Consultant. One of the great things what I find with him is that challenged me to bill more, to charge more, because as entrepreneurs we always underestimate our value, in that we're kind of thinking, oh my God, I can't charge this much. But I found that he's got a concept of value-based billing, which is not kind of like if you think of a lawyer bills on an hourly rate. The problem is that you only have so many hours in a day. Whereas in my business, I'm working on multiple projects at the same time, and I hate tracking hours. So I do a lot of what's called value-based billing, which is we sort of come to an agreement around, well, what would be the value of this project, or if I'm saving the money or something, what's the amount that's there? And you've got to sort of baseline this against other people that are maybe offering similar services. But we come to that amount, and then I just do some reverse engineering where I sort of work backwards and go, okay, so for the accounting purposes, they need to have this broken down by hours. But it's kind of what's the value that they're getting and what's that amount. I started with that amount there. Hopefully that helps. So again, and that was Alan Weiss. And then your last question there, how did you find a skilled person for outsourcing some back-end operations? Through the network. So I leveraged my network. You just talk to people. I was like, I'm looking for someone that's going to help out. And then you go by what people suggest. And I found someone that was someone else, another consultant was using, and then met with them. And then so you have a reference. Because really it's a shot in the dark trying to go out, just going by an ad and trying to find someone. It helps if you've got some kind of a connection. So leverage your network kind of the same way. Okay. So we're coming up near the end. I'm just wondering, Denise, if you had a question, if you were trying to get in there before I muted everyone. Okay. So my bad that I didn't record the session. So what I'm actually going to be doing now, I'm going to go and start the session again, and I'll re-record it again. So it might not be exactly as what you guys experienced, but I'll be going through all the same material. And I'll send this out. And I got to be honest, I love this. If you guys liked it, I think I'm going to do more of these. There's a whole bunch of things that we can dig more into. So thank you again for your time. I'm getting you off before the end of your lunch hour, so I'm happy. I'm not making anyone late for another meeting. And that's about it. So I just got an okay from Julie that says yes, more would be great. So sounds good. I want you guys have a great day, and we'll be talking soon.